What's up, everybody? It's Kyle with episode 236 of Unlocking Your Inner Strength. Looking forward to this episode. I got a cool story for you guys. I don't think I've ever shared the whole thing publicly, but we're going to get into that. And, it's a weird story, but it's kind of inspirational, I think, too. It's really how Newell Strength began in the problem that set that up. You might be wondering about my glasses. These are my shooting glasses. They're blue blockers, though, and it kind of brightens everything up here in the shed, and it makes me feel good. So it's like a nice yellow glow everywhere I look. So that's cool. Now, before I get into this episode, I want to address, for any business owners that are listening to this, or if you can share this with them, you know, or maybe you don't, the story when we opened the gym back in May. And it was hard enough for me to shut down for even a couple weeks. But, you had to go along with where people were at mentally at that time. And we opened. It was on the news. It was, it was on the national news. It was a big story. And we did that as a team. Could not have done that without the team at Newell Strength. And I get it. At that time, it's scary. You don't know what the penalties are going to be. You don't know the unknown. And COVID was still relatively new. So the first one to go with anything, that's usually the hardest, right? It's like the first person to run a 4-minute mile. Roger Bannister, and all these other people did it. And to be honest with you, I was hoping that when we did that, other, at least local businesses, were going to be inspired and do the same thing. Well, now we're coming back to potentially another round of lockdowns, which was very predictable. You get a pass if you didn't open the first time. I get it that not everybody has the same mindset as I do or me and my team does, that are going to be trailblazers and kind of put fear in the back seat. So you get a pass the first time. This time you don't get a pass if you shut down again. I get so fed up when I see, we're not an essential business. You're essential if it's essential for you and your family. Don't stop letting people tell you if you're essential or not. If you go out of business because another wave of lockdowns is going to put most businesses out for good, most mom and pop shops, not the big boys, most mom and pop shops, then it's on you. Stand up for what you believe in. Realize that you are essential, this arbitrary term, and realize you get a pass for the first time. We're in November now, coming into December. I'm just telling all small business owners, hopefully you can look back at what happened to us in May. Use that as an example. If you need to reach out to me, if you need a pep talk or some inspiration, I'll be glad to give it to you. And I'm going to be going around to local businesses, and if they, to kind of give them maybe some inspiration, some packets that I've printed up to kind of help them with the courage to stay open. And don't worry about the people that are going to judge you. You're always going to get the people that are judgers and weak of mind, as I'll call them. Don't worry about those people. They're always going to be there. You got to do what's best for you. And if you can't see what's going on at this point, you're blind. I'm sorry. But this is about a lot more than COVID. If you notice, the Amazon has increased its by billions of dollars, its profit margin, your Walmart, all this stuff. So don't let anybody tell you if you own a business that you're not essential. If it's essential, you put the work in, you put a lot of work in, and don't let anybody tell you you don't care about health. Don't listen to these mental midgets that try to shame you. So that's the little bonus for this episode at the beginning. And please, if you know any small business owners that are scared about the lockdowns and they're not sure, put them in touch with me. I'll guide them through everything. I'll put them in touch with my lawyer. I'll be there to support them. I will stand there while they stay open. So I could go on about that, but wanted to get that off my chest. So, the amazing story of my rectum. Now, obviously, this it's funny when you look at the title, but I've never shared this story publicly. People knew I had this disease, for lack of a better term, way back when, that kind of put me on this path. But I want to be very open and clear about it so people can realize there's always a silver lining, there's always positive, and you can rebound from anything. So where to begin? It was 2005. I had just finished competing in my second bodybuilding show. Now, right when I was getting ready for that show, a girlfriend of mine broke up with me. I was devastated. But I buried those emotions, and I put myself all into my contest prep, which is very consuming mentally, emotionally, and physically. So I kind of didn't have to deal with the breakup, which was nice in a way. Anyway, I competed, did not do nearly as well as I thought compared to the year prior. Was very disappointed in myself. And getting ready for the contest, too, was basically you're putting your id on hold. You know, the pleasure part of you is very rigid. So I had a lot of pent-up emotion, right? And that's just my personality anyhow, is I kind of can repress stuff, right? So go through that and hit decline on that. I was running a basketball league, pretty big basketball league. I ran it for about 8-9 years in Hillsborough. It was a men's/college league. And it was stressful getting that set up every year. So I remember we played the first game, summer league. And what's going on, Frank? And that night, I remember, or the next morning, excuse me, went to the bathroom. And I passed some blood in my stool. I said, oh, what's going on with that? Yeah, it was unusual for me. And I said, didn't think too much of it. It's bright blood. So, summer of 2005, go to the gastroenterologist. And, you know, it looks like maybe you might have a little hemorrhoid or something. Something minor. No big deal. Anyhow, this irritation, I'll call it, continues to bother me. We go on vacation, me and my family, me and my brothers and my parents. Went down to Dominican Republic, I believe. But anyway, it continues to bother me, meaning there's some blood. That didn't really bother me. But rectal, let's call it discomfort. When I talk about discomfort, I'm the type, guys, great hygiene when I go to the bathroom. And but irritation down there. So imagine if your rectum was constantly like itchy and irritated. For me, that was like a living hell. Now, that's only if it's for 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever. This continued to progress. Before you know it, I'm 6 months, I'm a year in. And this is all consuming on my mind. Go into a pretty deep depression. Wound up losing, remember I was competing in bodybuilding at the time, but I wound up losing about 30 pounds of pretty much straight muscle. Stopped going to the gym. At the time, I was still going back to school for my health and phys ed certification. So I would do that. I was working as a waiter at my dad's restaurant. Besides that, though, I kind of shut down. I went into freeze mode. So I have this rectal irritation. And again, I can't concentrate on anything. I mean, again, think of just that discomfort. That's a very sensitive area of your body. So I wound up going out to the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio, where they could kind of see what's going on. I started to develop ulcers. Went down to a hospital in Tennessee with my dad that was going to do an experimental procedure. So let me talk about that too, because I had this procedure done twice, and it shows you the power of persistence. I would read medical journals. I would do all this stuff, right? Same inquisitive mind that I have now, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. How do I get rid of this? So I found stuff they did in Turkey, the country Turkey. Very experimental for other people that apparently this is not an uncommon thing when you get this rectal irritation. It won't go away. And I'm fine, by the way, now, in case you don't say it at the end of this. This is no longer an issue, but how we got there is an important point. So anyway, I found these studies where they would inject methylene blue into the area to kill all the nerves, so you no longer have to deal with it. I find a doctor out in Tennessee that I send the study to, and he says, yeah, how I found, don't know. I think I found him in a medical journal. He had done something with it. So we go down there, we do that procedure. I actually had a doctor do it twice up here, and disappointed, didn't work. High hopes, didn't work. So anyway, in that first year, 2005, 2006, I'm obsessive about how to beat this issue. So I'm studying, I'm hyper-focusing on it. And it got to the point where whatever I would read about GI issues or symptoms, I would literally get within hours. So reading about, okay, maybe it's Crohn's disease, and potential that you might have ulcers all the way up in your mouth. Boom, wake up the next day, ulcer in my mouth. Well, the big one was when I realized that you could also get rectal ulcers, which are incredibly painful. So anyway, I get that. So now I have to have surgery to release it, to release it. And what a nightmare that was. I wound up having rectal ulcer surgery where they have to go in and cut your sphincter. Now, if I knew ahead of time the pain I was going to be in and the nightmare that was going to be, I never would have done that. So they cut your sphincter, and if you don't realize your sphincter is a big part of your core musculature, you can't do anything if your sphincter's cut. You can't even walk because you can't squeeze that muscle. You can't take a piss. You can't do any of this stuff. So just a nightmare. And then they put me on painkillers, which further constipated. Not that I was constipated going into that, but that constipated me. So now you're trying to go to the bathroom. You've got stitches in your rectum. It's just a nightmare. You can imagine. So this was bad. I mean, and now you're going on over a year and a half, and I'm just miserable. I will tell you a funny story about that surgery. I remember my brother Shikashane and my grandfather, my mom had sent over to watch me, keep an eye on me that night. So I was supposed to go up and get a bathtub to get the packing out. They got to pack you, okay? So I know this is graphic, and this is why, I've never fully shared this story with anybody, probably besides my family in Devon. So they pack about 4 things of gauze that are each like mini cigars up in where. Holy Jesus, getting those things out. So Shane and my grandfather had to get those out with tweezers. And that day, I remember I almost fainted twice, the only time in my life, just from the sheer discomfort and pain. So I eventually healed from that, but the problem still persists. And it was a year later, driving around that summer. I had just gotten hired to teach in Bridgewater Raritan. I had done my student teaching. And I'm listening to Howard Stern, and I hear Dr. John Sarno, talking about Dr. Sarno in his book. I'm saying, this sounds interesting. This doctor was able to heal Howard Stern from his chronic back pain. And at this point, guys, I tried all types of therapy, light therapy. I was going to psychotherapy, which I think is great. I wound up going for years. I said, man, I got to look into this. I'm desperate at this point. So I started looking into TMS, the theory of TMS, and it's something I'm very passionate about, something I would like to start helping people with. But anyway, it's the concept of these physical symptoms, if you can't find an actual cause, and the whole medical community is designed really not to address this stuff unless you get somebody that knows the history of medicine. But the symptoms you have, if there's no very clear cause, like when I ruptured my patellar tendon and it was just an accident, then where are they coming from? These symptoms. So tension myositis syndrome, the concept behind that is your brain can produce these symptoms pretty much at will. And it's the subconscious, and I won't go into all the science on it, but it's, and look, at first I didn't buy into it, right? But I was desperate. And I didn't know what else to do. So I read Dr. Sarno's new book, The Divided Mind, at the time. Very dry. Dr. Sarno's work is very dry, but I understood the concept that there's my brain is producing this symptom, and it's almost like a distraction for stuff I've been repressing or emotions that might be coming to the surface. I'm going through the work. I'm doing the work. I saw an actual MD that specialized in this. And I was just I would journal about, blah, 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 do all this stuff. And I was just desperate, though. Trying to heal myself. Realizing I just wanted to take a pill. I wanted to have a surgery. But I had to address the real issue was up in here. So anyway, I wasn't gaining much traction. But I understood the concept. That was it possible my own brain was creating these symptoms? And if so, why? So at the end of 2006, I said, you know what? I'm not making any progress. I'm stuck with this rectal irritation. I'm just going to be a hermit. I'm going to go teach, go home, watch a movie, go to sleep. That's going to be my day. Nothing to look forward to. Day in, day out. And I'll be honest with you guys, part of the reason I never shared this story too is there was times during that, and I'm sure everybody's felt this way one way or another, one point or another. But there were times during that, and I remember one night specifically where I wanted to kill myself. It got that, I noticed, you got to put yourself in that mind when you're depressed for that long. Going from somebody that had such a physically based lifestyle. And I remember telling my best friend, the King, I said, man, and he said, if you ever do that again, you call me. But I remember I had the knife out, guys. So, going forward from that, I mean, that's how bad it got, okay? So it was dark times. So coming to the end of 2006 calendar year, I said, you know what? I've got nothing else. I'm stuck with this. I got nothing else going. I'm going to compete again. Because I hadn't competed now in about 2 years. It's going to be 2 years. Because I just gave up on it. I was like, I got to fix this problem. And as I started getting ready, right? Because getting ready for a bodybuilding show, if you haven't done it, is so all-consuming with your focus. Incredibly time-consuming and mentally consuming. Start getting ready for the bodybuilding show. And what I notice is each week my symptom is getting a little better. What's that about? This is a little strange. And I started realizing, holy crap, it is my mind that was creating this. It latched onto this for whatever reason. But now that my mind was so focused, and I couldn't focus on the problem as much because I was getting ready for a show, it just started fading away. Now at this point, I said, man, I really grasped the power of the human mind now. I was physically creating symptoms at will in my body. I'm telling you, within hours of reading about a symptom, I would get it. Physically. You could look at the ulcers in my mouth at that time. The rectal ulcer, all this stuff. And I said, man, this is a blessing. This is crazy that the human mind is that powerful. And that's just scratching the surface, guys. But anyhow, at that point is when I really started getting into reading Tony Robbins, reading about the power of the mind. All because, I was listening and I was desperate to a Howard Stern show one day. And he's talking about Dr. John Sarno. And I was just amazed. But anyway, I'm getting ready for that show. And then I start believing, my mind is so powerful. I can do anything I put my mind to. So while I'm getting ready for that contest, I think I did 2 contests that year. Problems completely go away within a matter of 4 months. Gone. And there's so many other lessons from that, and I use that now. I use that when anything arises in my body. I can do a scan and I can realize what it is. Is it an actual problem, or is it something going on that your brain, your subconscious spirit's trying to tell you? But I've helped a lot of people with this. So this is not a voodoo, guys. This is real. There's a lot of science out there now that back this up. But so from that problem, because I started reading at that point and getting very inspired by the power of the mind, I decided at the end of the summer of 2007 to create Newell Strength. At that time, it was called Champion's Choice Personal Training. And it was between that and a landscaping business. That was my first business as a kid when I was 10 years old. And I was very passionate about that. But I went with the personal training, and that is literally how Newell Strength started. If I did not have that problem, Newell Strength might not exist. Right? And we think about the great team we have there, and literally the thousands of people that have come through the community and impacted us. We've impacted them. They may have changed their family life because they had more energy, more positive mindset. So all because of this deepest, darkest days of my time. To the point where I almost wanted to, I literally almost ended it for myself. I was so depressed. I can't even imagine being like that again. And I think that's timely for what's going on. You got to watch, right? You got to watch what's going on up here. And that is the amazing story of my rectum and how that actually began Newell Strength. It was from that. All growth comes from a deficit. You got to remember that. And hopefully you can get something out of that. And I'm happy to help anybody that reaches out to me as far as if you're having trouble up here, just to talk about it. Something I'm very passionate about is the mind with Mind Map. Passionate about all that stuff, guys. And so that's that. There's a silver lining in everything. And just remember, thank you, Frank. Remember what I talked about at the beginning of the episode. Any business owners, small business owners that need a pep talk, that have to realize their business is essential and they cannot shut down again. I'll be glad to talk to them. Just put them in touch with me, and I'll give them the blueprint. And that's it, guys. So hopefully you guys can use some of this to your advantage. I know this was rather long, but again, that's really the first time I shared that whole story publicly. So hopefully people can get something out of that. And thanks for the support. And don't forget, we got 236 episodes on iTunes, so you can go on there and subscribe to the Unlocking Your Inner Strength podcast and go back to the beginning or pick out different ones you want to listen to. All right, guys, you have a great day.